Let's take a look at this 1/12 Bug Boy action figure and see whether he's worth it. This is Airoki by the company GiveMe5ive. It is their very first figure, I believe, and part of their Metamorphosis Rise of Insects series. It's a little reminiscent of Sexy Ice and Romankey stuff. Seems like some cool stuff, so let's get into it. The box has a lid at the top, kind of like mobile phone boxes these days. Inside is one big tray. Getting it out. There is a separate bag underneath with some additional accessories. These include 2 extra hands. He has a scarf or a cowl thing, which is kind of rugged looking, pretty cool. Suits the aesthetic. It does have a wire or a kind of like a twist tie running around the edge of it, so you can move it around. There are also these 2 strap things, which apparently no one knows what they're for. It's kind of like tape, like the edge is sticky. I suppose you could use it as like a bandage and wrap it around him or something. Or give it to Guriza. Let me know if you know what these are for. Otherwise, let's get our Bug Boy out of the box. He's got decent weight to him, it's not super heavy or anything, but he is quite big. He is quite spiky as well, so be careful with him. Alright, here he is. Free from his plastic covering. He mostly has a really dry feeling matte finish. I suppose it's kind of due to his texture and stuff. He feels a little bit like tree bark, or like really dry wood. Pretty interesting. I guess he kind of looks like that as well. Not sure what kind of bug he's meant to be though. I guess you could also say he's reminiscent of Kamen Rider. He's got some pinkish purpley bits around him, which I suppose are meant to be his flesh. Honestly, this kind of aesthetic might not be for everyone. I wasn't really sure of him at first, but he looks pretty cool. He's got some thin soft goods around his legs as well. These are attached to him, but I think it works well, and we'll take a look at them later on. For his head, he's got big Bug Boy eyes. Speaking of eyes, they look pretty cool. I mean, it's how a bug should look, right? I suppose you can also shine some UV or black light on it and it kind of lights up. Otherwise, he's got some horny spikes. And of course, be careful when you're handling him. He's a little bit cut up, but I suppose due to his bug aesthetic, it's not too noticeable. And so let's see if it helps with articulation. Head turns are nice and smooth. He tilts. He does have separate head and neck movement. He looks up and down this much. He does have a little tab at the back, which is apparently meant to move, but mine doesn't really. And you should probably be careful with it anyway. Here's what his shoulders look like. Be careful with these as they are on a very thin joint. Arms raise up a little past horizontal. They were a little stiff on mine, but he can raise his arms up. He does have a nice butterfly joint, kind of reminiscent of Revoltech and Romankey. Although I say it's nice, his forward reach is actually pretty average. With the butterfly and being kind of more cut up, I would expect him to have a little bit more reach, but I guess it's fine. Backwards reach looks like this. And there are some fleshy parts which will be exposed when you move him, so that's pretty cool. Bicep rotation. Double jointed elbows. There's a little spike covering the actual elbows, that's nice. There's a bit of rotation at the elbow as well. And standard wrist stuff. Initially the torso on mine was a little bit stiff, so it kept popping out. After moving him a bit, it loosened up and he moves really well now. It's not loose or anything. He has some good torso bends. For legs, even though they are covered by the pants, he does have pull down legs which work quite well. If you disassemble him, you can see them in action. He has a good side to side split. There is just enough pant material to allow for this. Forwards backwards split, also really good. He can kick all the way up. And all the way back. He does seem to have some thigh rotation. Double jointed knees. And some foot stuff. So besides the forward reach of the arms, his range is actually pretty good. The armor pieces on his pants are soft plastic, so they won't get in the way either. If you are interested in the construction of his pants, they are just pants. And then there are 4 flaps all around on the front, back, left and right. It is a pretty interesting kind of design choice with the attached soft goods. Very nice thin and rugged material though. Similarly, this is the same material as his scarf. I think on my scarf there might be a tiny bit of QC because one of the ends is a lot longer than the other. But whatever. To put it on, simply pop his head off. And then just put it on. So I don't think there's actually a right way to do this, so just do whatever works for you, I guess. You could have it around his neck. You could pull it down a little bit to cover his chest. And of course there is the wire that you can use to shape it. Another thing the scarf can do is cover his face if you don't like how it looks. For hands he has 5 pairs total. Default fisty hands. In the extra baggie there are a pair of, I guess, holdy hands. So these are actually very similar to another pair, but they do have a bit of a bump in the middle. Honestly, it doesn't really affect anything. I suppose it's meant to hold the weapon better, but it's still a little bit difficult to get him to hold stuff. Here's a pair of gesture hands. And here's the other pair of holding hands. I think besides the bump, the angle might be a little bit different, but I'm not too sure. But whatever works, right? Also, when swapping the hands, do be careful because he's very sharp, and his wrists can be quite tight. Finally, we have a pair of trigger finger hands. Because he does have some weaponry. He's got a gun of some sort. This looks pretty cool, there's some nice detailing and weathering on it. He's got a double-sided blade of some sort. Also got a nice metal finish to it, although it is just plastic. Otherwise he's got 2 more separate blades. These are the same sculpt, so I guess the idea is that you can combine them or something. There is a chain thing which you can attach the separate blades to, and then he can have some fancy chain weapon. These 2 things on the sides, I guess you can wrap the chain around as well. Pretty cool bunch of stuff and playability. Would have been nice if there was like an alternate head or something, or maybe like some eye swaps. But I guess it's fine. I think it's quite interesting how all these companies are doing bug-like figures. I suppose we have Sexy Ice to thank for that. Of course I'll have some links below in case you want to take a look at or grab any of this kind of stuff. And if you're interested, we also do have a Discord where we chat about figures and stuff via YouTube membership or Patreon. For size, he is a pretty tall boy at just over 7 inches or about 18 centimeters to the top of his horns. However, if you have an open mind, I'm sure you can just pair him with whatever's in your collection. But anyway, please do let me know your thoughts on GiveMe5ive's Airoki. I reckon if you like the aesthetic, he's a pretty solid figure. He just has some minor issues with some tight and loose joints and stuff, but it's not too bad. Anyway, thanks for watching, I'll see you again next time.